What's up, everybody? Let's talk about Bitcoin, the big picture, what I'm watching for right now. Let's start on the 3-day chart, and I'm going to zoom out pretty far here. You'll lose some resolution, but we just want to look back at previous consolidations during bull runs. First of all, we have this weird structure here. I consider it a running flat, but it's very awkward for what a running flat is. But you see, we had this move here, we had this move here, and we had it to a smaller degree over here. Where are these gray? I don't know. Somehow they got turned gray. It's not really a big deal. I find it interesting that the current year's bull run started with only a 120-day pattern of it. One thing I will note is that the basing pattern before this move up was significantly longer. Give me a time range. So we had a move down, it bottomed right here, and then we had this long sideways move and a capitulation down. So we're talking about several months, 9 months. How many months? 8 months of consolidation of sideways. If you count this stuff, 9, almost 10 months. Whereas here we had to move down, the bottom was here, and then we had this long accumulation period that ended in capitulation, which was 450 days long. So being that this was 220 days, this was really elongated. It took a lot of time. Versus this move here, we accumulated in 450 days. We spent a lot of time sideways, allowing us to move up faster. So I think this move makes sense for why it's shorter, but it's still quite similar in nature to these other moves. You can see that they all back tested this previous high. Let's make it a little thicker so you can see what I'm talking about. Before continuing up. Three for three. All back testing that previous high. And then we move up and we have another consolidation and another move up. So 2013 was still pretty young. Bitcoin was still very young. It moved from $2 up to $1,200. And it really only had 2 consolidations the whole time. Elliott wavers might be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's valid. I can't say it's not. And then we've got a longer correction behind that. Then we've got a base. And then we've got another move here. If you're counting these, you got to move up. A sideways move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, how do you count that? Well, you really can't. Not an Elliott wave, you can't. For me, I don't really care what the 5 count is. I simply want to know where the continuation patterns are. And as we approach all-time high here, we did have a continuation pattern right above it, or right at it, and then we had another one shortly after it. Over here, we really haven't had any significant consolidation after the all-time high. I believe we're in our first large consolidation. I don't think we're close to done yet. These other ones took 80 days, 95 days, 89 days. I think that we see a similar timeline here where we're in some kind of continuation pattern for about 3 months. Now this move up in the middle, if this is our first move down, we got this large move up behind it. And then our third move of the correction is an impulse downward. First move down, the second move is really bullish. Third move is an impulse to the downside. So I think we're still in this first move down and we haven't quite started a second move. It does make sense for it to be quite bullish like these previous patterns. But I primarily think that we're going to move down a little further here and then have that bullish move. And this could top out, I mean, it could go to 60,000. It could come way up here, be like an A, B, C. And then this final move would be the fastest, really strong move, and surpass 100K most likely, in my opinion. You can see what I mean as to why it could be pretty bullish. As we got further into the trend, this middle move got stronger. So it's very possible that we're in this one rather than this one. If you look back at 2013, my mouse is not very good for scrolling for some reason. I've got to use my pad, my trackpad on my laptop. If you look back on 2013, we only had the 2 consolidations. Is it possible that here in 2021, the bull run of 2020 to 2022-ish, is it possible we only have 2 real consolidations? I think so. And after this second consolidation, we would just see a massive move. I don't think we would top out at 100K. We would expect it to be similar in nature to this one here, right? If we measure this one using a fib extension, let's just take it from here to the high and then back to the low. Now note that this is based on log scale. The fib levels are based on log scale. Let me grab a 0.75 pivot. Yeah, look, we extended just past the 0.75. So this quote-unquote third wave of the 2013 bull run was the strongest. In the fifth wave it reached a 75% of what this one, and the extension is 75% from the bottom of that correction. So if we come over here and assume that our third wave is complete, can we reach 75% from this projected low? That would be right around 100 grand. So it's possible that that is right around our top. We'd protrude through it a little bit like we did last time. But right in here would make sense, and then we could have a potentially longer correction. I don't think we need to worry about that too much for now. What we need to worry about more is what's happening next. What's happening right in here? Are we going down? Are we going up? And we can flip over to a daily chart and get a little more detail here. We had a large accumulation structure here. We've already talked about that one. I do have it labeled out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just for the lack of better way to show it. I don't care about the Elliott wave count. It simply doesn't matter. But right now it really does fit in terms of traditional Elliott wave. We had this first move up, and from the bottom of it, the third wave, the potential third wave, reached 150% extension. That's pretty solid. I believe we're still in this move down. And if you look at past bull runs, the first move down has always, or the move down has always flipped red on the daily chart. See, red here, red here, red here, red here, red here. This first one didn't catch it, but right here in the middle turned red. Same here. First one didn't catch it, but it turned red here and here. Red, red. So we still have failed to turn red on the MACD, and that is EMA 12 minus EMA 26. You can get my MACD, oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. MACD momentum indicator on TradingView. It is very close to flipping red. We've been moving down hard for a while now. We'll go down to the 8-hour or 4-hour and kind of map that out a little bit better. But we're very close to flipping red. even if we do continue down here like I'm suggesting, it's possible that this still fails to flip and it just barely misses and then it flips red later on. Simply because of how high we protruded here. That's a really, really strong extension on a daily chart. MACD hasn't really gone that high ever before. This also suggests we might need some time. We might need some time to really calm the MACD down and give it a chance to move stronger to the upside. So what if the time in our base here wasn't enough? What if the time in our base here was simply a start and now we get two of these longer corrections? Could this come out here? Yeah, it very possibly could. But I would still suggest that we're likely to trend upward or at least sideways, kind of. Sorry, I kind of missed on that last one, but you get the idea. It could take longer than just the 90 days. We could be in this for maybe even 6 months. But it would be primarily to the upside. I am looking to buy heavily on any move further down. Let me pull up my top secret indicator. This is something I haven't finished. When I'm finished, it won't be a top secret anymore, but for now it still is. It might pull up a bunch of junk, I'm not sure, I gotta find out. I might have to turn off some of the stuff, yeah. I primarily want to focus on the retracements here. So if we go back to the bull run here, you can see that we tested this band multiple times, but we never closed below the red line until here, until the bull run was over and we were going down. But we had multiple entries at the blue red ribbon. Could we potentially get an entry at that blue ribbon again? I think it is very possible. And it's something I'm watching for. I'm even okay with a wick lower to approximately the 23,000 level. I don't think we retest the old high. Some people are going to call for that. They're going to even call lower. But I think that we'll primarily find support in this blue area with wicks lower. I don't think we have any closes down in this range. But we could potentially see something as large as this. And let's call it 90 days from the high. We're already pretty much at it here. And we could break the top, right? We could trend upward in this. Something like that. Now on the 4 hour, I'm going to go ahead and hide that. We're done with that for now. We have been making lower highs since the high here. This was January 8th. I don't know about you guys, but it's the 25th here. So that's a couple weeks already. We've been making lower highs. And I think there's a good chance that we continue down. Alright guys, I got a little interrupted there. I apologize. I believe the point I was making was that we've been making lower highs for a couple weeks here. We very clearly had our first move down here and then a move up against it. For me, I think this may have been an A with some kind of secondary wave behind it, and we're looking at our final wave has started now. We didn't get a blue flip here on the 4 hour. I typically like to see that, but you can see we were really close, very, very close to flipping that blue It fell just slightly short, but it makes sense for this to be a completed second wave of our structure here. So I just grab the triangle. We don't draw triangles here. We're looking at some kind of A, B, C. In the middle of this was essentially A, W, X, Y. We got 3 waves up, 1, 2, 3. We got 3 waves down, 1, 2, 3. We got 3 waves up, 1, 2, 3. So W, X, Y. So we've got a flat like this, A, B, C. And that would make this our 3 waves. And we're putting some kind of massive 4 in right here. And this would just be the A of that 4. Let me take this up a degree here. Oh, wrong one. So this would just be our first wave of a large running correction, most likely running, especially with the strength of the trend. It's most likely that the B wave will break the high and will make a new all-time high in a large corrective structure with one more capitulation down before continuing up. So what makes me wrong here? Well, daily turning red would pretty much confirm it. It'd also be very likely that that was a local bottom. If the daily turns red, we're going to be very close to the bottom. You can see how close it is. It's not going to go much further without a bounce. 4-hour turning positive could technically still be part of a WXY. So we could still do this and have the same structure here, with the 4-hour giving us a positive flip that we would have liked to see in the first place. But it's not required. We don't have to do that. But I also can't invalidate the idea just because the 4-hour chart turns positive. I don't want to break this lower high. If we break that lower high, I'm probably looking to buy any pullbacks. And I definitely don't want to break the all-time high. Doing either of those things suggests that this move down is done and we're in a B wave going to the upside. On the 8-hour, we are red. I don't want to see the 8-hour flip positive before this move down. If the 8-hour flips positive, then we're most likely continuing to the upside as well. You can see there was a couple times where the 8-hour turned red during this run, but this is the first time it really got this high, right? So at this point, if it comes back up and then comes back down, then it's probably going to be crossing but internal to these lows. The low here would be in at that time. But I am watching for any kind of capitulation wick for my entries along. If we drop down here, then we're looking for entries to the upside. And we're holding those. That's, you go all in spot, whether you do it on Bitcoin or another coin. You go all in spot on that lows, on that capitulation drop. And we're looking for new highs from there. So quick recap, we don't want to take out these levels. Until we take out these levels and flip the 8-hour positive, a further drop is very possible. I would say even likely. And once we do get that drop, we're looking for a buy. I mean, even if we come down to this level here, I'm looking for buy-ins, but I would suspect that we're going to get a bounce right in here, right? Maybe in here, but that pretty much lines up with my top secret targets. Our red line's here, our blue line's here. So we could get wicks to this area and close above it. And when I talk about a close, I mean like on a daily, some significant time frame. 8-hour, 12-hour daily. Maybe we get a 4-hour close below the box. But like a 15-minute close down here is nothing. 1-hour close down here is nothing. All right, guys, that's everything I got on Bitcoin. What does this mean for alts? This piece here, I'm probably looking to be heavier in alts through this than I am on Bitcoin. And then I think Bitcoin steals the show after this dip over here. As it moves up to that 100K range, I think that's really Bitcoin's time to shine until alts next time. All right, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments or on Twitter, and we'll get you taken care of.